Hey, pageant fans. Happy New Year and welcome to 2025. My first live for 2025. I am super excited to be back and to be here with y'all.
Hey, pageant fan.
And yeah, I can't wait for the 2025 pageant season. But of course, we are kicking off 2025 with some drama from Miss Universe. Can we say we surprised? No, we're not surprised. I'm not surprised over here. I mean, this is Miss Universe, the new Miss Universe. So what can I say? Anyway, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Teresa and I am your host. This is T Sans on Pageantry, where we talk all things pageant related. If you are not yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe and share this channel with the pageant fan in your life so we can create a fun and exciting community. Come and join us over here on this little slice of my internet. So in this live, we are going to be talking about the recent dethronement of Miss Universe Argentina. And this happened earlier this year, which is weird to say earlier this year because we are only on the 27th day of January. But this happened or it was announced on January 2nd. So let us dive into it. All right, so I don't speak Spanish, so I'm getting my information from an online article from the New York Post, right? So in that particular article, what they said that she said was that during a live interview on YouTube with King Lucho, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing these names correctly, they're saying that Miss Argentina alleged that the Miss Universe competition was rigged, and that when the top five was announced, she saw the judges looking at each other in strange ways, and that's where she said, okay, this is fixed. It was always fixed every year. She also went on to say that the winner, Victoria from Denmark, knew that she was going to win because she had security detail. Like, I guess she had heightened security detail around her in the final days leading up to the competition. And she also spoke a little bit about Miss Puerto Rico and how Miss Puerto Rico didn't really seem to be that friendly towards her. And she also criticized Miss Puerto Rico's gown choice, which personally I just think it was just her being a little petty. But the part I want to focus on is these allegations. So here's the thing about allegations, right? Personally, when someone approaches me about a pageant being rigged, I'm usually quite weary of that kind of conversation, and I do try to listen keenly. And in my experience, again, this is my personal experience, and I'm not saying that there aren't pageants out there that aren't rigged. I'm just saying that this has been my experience when I've had girls come to me and say such and such a pageant is rigged, or such and such a pageant organization wanted a particular girl to win. And I don't know, maybe this is just because of where I live. I live in the Cayman Islands, small country in the Caribbean. We are not as advanced in pageantry as some of the other countries that compete in Miss Universe. When people come to me and say this pageant is rigged or that pageant is rigged, I take it with a grain of salt and I really listen to why they think that. And for me personally, I pick up on a few things. I usually realize that one, this person doesn't truly have a good understanding of what pageants are looking for in a title holder. Two, they don't fully understand how to properly prepare for a pageant. And three, they're speaking from a place of hurt and disappointment, and they're sort of projecting that outward instead of looking inward to say, well, where could I have improved? What can I learn from this experience? And how do I do better next time? And I'm not saying that that's the case here. I'm just saying that that's been my experience. So when I hear people say that, a pageant is rigged, I'm usually like, you gotta come with the receipts. You gotta give me some real proof that a pageant is rigged before I really take your word for it. So that's just been my experience. In this case, I also want to pull up something that I saw online. Give me 1 second. Here we go. We're gonna go over to Miss U Updates, her channel. So So this is Miss U updates, and so of course she made a post about it, and I think in one of her comments, let me see, where, oh, looks like I lost it. Oh no. Okay, so it says Miss Universe has just announced that they are taking away the Miss Universe Argentina title from the top 12 finalists. In their statement, right, they reiterated their commitment basically to inclusion, diversity, respect, and emphasizing that representatives must uphold these principles in their actions and words, which personally I find that laughable, because aren't these the same people that were sitting up here making fun of some of the contestants for their headshots? These same people. So let me get this straight. You want to hold your contestants to a particular standard that you yourself are not upholding. What about the respect for those girls that you were making fun of? You don't think that they deserve respect? If that's not the height of hypocritical, I don't know what is, honestly. So that just makes me raise my eyebrow. Oh, here's a comment from Miss U Updates. So Miss U Updates is claiming, she says she was hearing that the organization wanted a blonde. Lots of girls were hearing that, dyeing their hair lighter. She said that in her opinion, Miss Dominican Republic and Brazil didn't deserve to place, that they were mean, etc. No matter whether it is nice to hear or not, it was just her opinion, and it happened a million times before this edition and every past edition. And I have to say that, yes, I do believe that, with most pageants, there's always someone who comes out and says, oh, this pageant was rigged, or oh, this person was their favorite, they just wanted this particular person to win. It happens every year, and I think it's because of those things that I said, where a lot of times people are upset that their favorite didn't win, or they themselves didn't win. And sometimes that's coming just from that place of upset, or not fully having a good grasp of pageantry. So it's normal, is what I'm saying. It is completely normal. So it's so interesting to me to take away the title from someone who is displaying behavior that honestly has happened before, right? But at the same time, right, as a communications and public relations professional, I can completely understand why they would want to distance themselves from her, because her accusations are serious. She is calling into question the integrity of the competition, the integrity of the leaders, and the legacy of the pageant, right? So I can fully understand where they're coming from and wanting to distance themselves from her. But they also need to realize that they set themselves up for this. Truly they did. In the way that they produced this year's pageant, it was not well produced. And a lot of that stems from the whole continental queens, right? Like the way they went about doing that. It didn't make any sense, and it made people question what is going on here. Now, I do want to touch on something that she said, right? She's saying that during the top 5, or after the top 5 announcement, the judges were looking at each other kind of strange, right? That's what she said. Now, I don't think that looking at their facial expressions is a good indication that, or can be used to justify and say, or used as evidence that, this pageant is rigged. Here's why. Judging, if they're judging on, say, a point system, a ranking system, I don't think they're doing deliberations. I think it's either a point system. I'm pretty sure it's a point system that they're judging on. If you're judging on a point system, it usually means that you're doing that on an individual basis. And so if every judge is judging each contestant based on their own opinion, right, that could mean they have different favorites, and they may be feeling differently about different girls, and therefore the point system will vary for each girl, right? So it's kind of hard to say or know how the results will pan out, because you are just one judge out of 5 or 10 judges, whatever the case may be, right? So you don't really know what the final results will be. So yes, you might actually be surprised that a few people made it further than what you thought because maybe they weren't in your favorites. And that's just the nature of judging. Like, unless these judges are deliberating and coming together and saying, here's who we think should be Miss Universe, here's the first runner-up, your second runner-up, your third, your fourth, your fifth, however, right? Unless they're doing that and those results were wildly different from what they had determined, then you could say, like, there's something fishy going on here. But if everybody's judging each girl on their own merit and based on their own opinion, you're gonna have varying results amongst the judges. And I mean, in some cases, you might have that one person that is sticking out to all the judges as a clear winner. You might have that if you have a really, really strong contender, right? So I don't really know if looking at their facial expressions is a good indication that there's something amiss about the pageant. It could be. I don't know. It really could be based on how this year's competition went. But I think another thing that's also contributing to this whole allegation that it's rigged, it could be coming from the winner herself. I think I said this in my recap of Miss Universe. I said that if you were paying close attention to the competition this year, and in particular to Miss Denmark, which I was because she was one of my favorites leading into prelims, you would have saw that she posted a reel on her Instagram and she talked about what some of the things were that she shared with the judges during her interview. And it was so heartfelt. It was such an incredible story that I was like, wow, them judges must have been really blown away by her. Now, if you did not follow her closely, you would have missed that little tidbit of information. So when it came to prelims, right, one of the things I think where she messed up is that her walking style was not in alignment with the Miss Universe brand. That is that it did not really support the style of walk that we have come to know and love from a Miss Universe. She didn't really wow us or stand out to us as a potential Miss Universe like queens who have come before her have done. To me, she definitely was giving Miss Grand, and at that time, I didn't even know she had competed for Miss Grand before. So yeah, like she definitely still had that Miss Grand way of walking, which is very, overt and very kind of like extra and doing the most, right? And so I think that's one of the things that is causing a little bit of controversy surrounding her win. The second thing I think is also contributing to the controversy is that, when it came to answering her final question, she did not provide context to the listening audience. Context on her background, on how she grew up, on the things that she shared with the judges. She never provided that context in any of her answers on stage. Therefore, her answers came across as lacking substance, right? So because her answers came across as lacking substance, and you've got Miss Nigeria over here who's giving substance, and even Miss Thailand who's giving substance, who doesn't make it into the top. Did she make it in the top 3? Or she doesn't land in the top 3? It leaves people questioning, well, how did Miss Denmark win this pageant? And I say that is partially on Miss Denmark's fault. Why we are questioning, because she just did not deliver in that way. But I think what ultimately may have happened is that she was impressive in the judges' interview. Now remember that at the beginning of the telecast, they usually announce that the top 20 is chosen by members of the Miss Universe organization along with the selection committee, right? So in that case, right, if that is the case and that these women are being chosen based on the Miss Universe organization and the selection committee, it then means that yes, the organization has a say in which women move on to the semifinals, which women are going to move forward, right? And I personally think that is fair. I think that that's 100% fair that they get to choose or have some kind of say in who moves forward, because at the end of the day, Miss Universe is a business and they have to ensure that whoever is in that position of being Miss Universe, or even whoever makes it into that top 20, top 10, top 5, they are marketable and can be used to market their pageant, market their business, right? So I do think that they, saw her interview, knew how highly impressive she was, but also recognized that maybe she wasn't as impressive in prelims as she should have been. But because they loved her from interview, they just kept pushing her along, pushing her along. Now, I say all that to say this. Miss Universe, under the remit of Anne and Raul and Osmel, right? They have really not been doing themselves any favors with the pageant. Like, they've truly not been living up to the standards that we have come to know of Miss Universe. They have done some very questionable things that the audience, the supporters, the fans do not like, and they have alienated us in certain respects. And I think that's why you're seeing so many people support Miss Argentina and stand by her and say, look, this doesn't make any sense, just leave her alone, she's saying stuff that everybody else has said before. And I get it. And I think it's interesting and funny because it's like, here you have a contestant who is basically questioning the credibility of the organization, and yet the fans don't care. And I think if the pageant was being run by like IMG, if Paula Sugar was still there, maybe the fans would be a bit more upset with Miss Argentina for making these accusations. But they ain't, because you know what? Anne and Raul and Osmel, they've been acting shady. They have been acting shady. They have been disregarding the fans of the pageant. And I think it's because they feel that they could do whatever they want because they own the Miss Universe franchise. And yes, to a certain degree, you can do whatever you want. But if you continue to alienate your fan base, you know what's going to happen, right? You're going to lose all your fans. It's going to happen over time. People are just going to lose interest. And I'm seeing more and more people say, I'm losing interest in Miss Universe. It's just not the same. They're just doing things all wrong, or they're just not listening. So if I were them, I'll get my act together and try and do things right. Because I think this whole rigged situation and why people are defending Miss Argentina is strictly because of them and the way that they chose to run the pageant this year, but also just the way that things have been done in the last 2 years since Anne has taken over leadership of this organization. It has just not been, it's not been great. And the fans are upset, and they recognize that this is not the Miss Universe we know and love. So we don't support what you guys are doing. Now, as someone rightly said, what was the point of taking away her crown? She already went to Miss Universe. She already placed in the top 12. You can't change that. And that's right. You can't change that. And the fans have also pointed out other things like, where's the apology for Miss Lebanon? Why didn't you guys say anything with Miss USA when Uma Sofia and Noelia resigned? There was no statement made on that. Like, there are other things, bigger issues. Then, someone saying the pageant is rigged. Someone says it every year, the pageant is rigged, but like, no one ever really pays attention. Nobody brings it. It's political. Will I agree it's political? Yeah, I do think it's political. Do I think it's outright rigged? Before, no, I didn't really think it was outright rigged. I do think that they are wanting to ensure that they have someone that is like that they can work with, and I support the organization having that say, because listen, the organization is they're the ones that spend the most time around these girls. Remember, the judges are only coming in for a few hours over the course of 2 or 3 days, and they're not really getting to see these girls for who they are versus the organizers of the competition who are around them 24/7. You really get to know these girls and you get to see their true colors come out, and you really get to see who is worthy, who is really bringing it, who wants it, who's deserving of it, all of those things. Yeah, you really do get to see that. So I support them having a say, but I don't know if I necessarily believe that the pageant has been rigged in the past. Now, with these ones who have taken over recently, I think anything is possible because, like I said, shady. Anything is possible. So I'm not going to sit here and say it absolutely was not rigged. But I'm not going to say that it was for sure rigged. I'm going to say there's a good chance that it may have been. It may have been. They may have just been like, we like this chick and she's finna go all the way to the top. And let's just kept pushing her to the top. I don't know. We'll probably never know. But these are the kind of situations and controversy and lack of support they're gonna get from the fans because of the way they have been conducting their business. They need to get it together. And if for some reason you're watching this, Raul, Osmel, get your ish together, because y'all gonna make this pageant go down the drain. There are other pageants out there that are running well, that other people, that the fans will go and flock to. We just go find another pageant, and Miss Universe will be dethroned as the best pageant in the world. I mean, hey. So you can either get it together or continue to run this thing into the ground, run this business into the ground, because that's what you guys are doing. I'm very curious to see where the next Miss Universe will be held. I don't think the announcement has been made yet, but I did see that Anne has dropped some hints, so I'm curious to know where it's gonna be. We shall see what the 2025 edition brings us. Hopefully it will be 1,000 times better than the 2024 edition, but I'm not holding my breath because these people this is like a fly-by-night operation, if you ask me. And it's really sad because Miss Universe was once such a prestigious pageant, a pageant that everyone could not wait to watch, and now we get this. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please comment down below your thoughts. How do you feel about this situation? Do you think that she should have been dethroned? Do you think she should have been left as the title holder? Yeah, and what did you think of the overall 2024 production? All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining me. And until next time, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.